Hello everyone, welcome to LUKMAAN IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 21st February 2021. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. Yes, many of these prelims related articles relate to our environment section. So we are going to learn into some of the details, prelims related facts, some of the wildlife sanctuaries and tiger reserves which are in today's The Hindu newspaper, their locations, because UPSC is asking such kind of questions. So let us take a review first of all these articles, what is the context of these articles and what issues they are discussing here. So for mains related, conclusive land titling and its challenges. So the context of the article here is that the Niti Aayog has recently devised the new model law for land titling, and it has sent to different states for their reviews on this particular model law. So the land reforms is very important topic in GS3 paper mains examination, right? So part of your syllabus. So what do you mean by conclusive land titling, and at present what type of land titling system is there in India? Okay, so we are going to understand the need of such conclusive land titling and what are the challenges in its implementation. Then in prelims related articles, especially environment section, highways keeping snuffing out wild animals of Aravali's. So here it mentions the 3 highways in Delhi and around near Haryana region. So how they are, let's say there is continuous wildlife deaths of many such wild animals in that region because of crossing of these highways continuously, and high speed vehicles are crushing them. So here there is mention of 2 important protected areas. One is Asola Wildlife Sanctuary and other is Sariska Tiger Reserve. So we will try to understand their locations. At the same time, we have provided map for all the tiger reserves in India. So we will look into from that aspect. Then wettest place on the earth sees decreasing trend in rainfall. So one of the study has suggested that the wettest place on the earth, that is Mausinram in Meghalaya, the study says that there is decreasing in the overall annual rainfall in that region, and one of the indicator of climate change. So it is also has mention of biodiversity hotspot, northeast India. So what is this biodiversity hotspot? Again, for prelims perspective, we have to know about them and which are these 4 biodiversity hotspot in India. Then when nature speaks out, so here in magazine on Sundays newspaper, there is magazine supplement that is there, and in that article there is book review. One of that book is regarding Chipko Moment. Okay, so again from environment section, Chipko, what was this Chipko Moment? At the same time, it is recently in news because of Uttarakhand disaster that happened recently, the floods in Uttarakhand, Chamoli district. So that's why you need to know about the Chipko movement. At the same time, it is also having the mention in NCERT. Now, after taking review, let us try to understand these articles in detail. Now, first on FAQ page. So every time we tell you that on Sunday's newspaper, the 2 most important pages for our examination, one is science and technology page. In today's newspaper, it is on page number 10, and the other is FAQ page on page number 11. So largely these articles relate to our UPSC examination. Then conclusive land titling system and its challenges. So from land reforms perspective, okay, so in GS3 paper in economy part, there is land reforms topic, and for that purpose we need to know some of the basics about what is the present land titling system, what are the issues involved, and then what is this conclusive land titling. So this conclusive land titling system is proposed in one of the model laws of land titling that has been proposed by Niti Aayog recently, and that particular model law is sent to the states and union territories for their reviews. Okay, so let us try to understand what is the present system of land titling in India. So it is India is following currently the system of presumptive land titling. This particular land titling type of system, it involves the maintenance of land record with the information on possession which is determined through details of past transaction. That means the land is let's say there is continuous transaction of this land it is bought, sold continuously, and based on these linkages the land title is determined in India. So basically the ownership is established on the basis of current possession. Okay, the current possession of that is held by the, or we can say held by the particular person. So that is from that particular document. The registration of land is actually the registration of this transaction, such as sales deeds and records of inheritance, mortgage and lease. This is the system we follow at present, and there are many such issues. Why? Because at present these transactions, their records is not appropriate, it is not updated, and because of that many problems happen. So that's why there is proposed conclusive land titling. Now this conclusive land titling means there is a need of let's say putting an end to disputes on that particular land patch, or we can say that asset. So here the conclusive evidence is to be let's say arrived at through various measures, and then finally it is to be said that that particular land belongs to that person or any company or entity, we can say. Okay, so this is how this particular land title is now granted by the government. Okay, so this is the conclusive titling system. The title is granted by the government, which takes the responsibility of accuracy now. Okay, so this is very important aspect, because what happens is there is continuous conflicting claims over the land, and according to one of the survey by the World Bank, so and many such international organizations and even Niti Aayog studies suggest that many such litigations have been there as important, let's say, proportion of all the pending cases in before our judiciary. Okay, so because of that what happens is the litigation goes on and there is burden on the courts, and ultimately the right kind of right titles are not there. Okay, so that's why this litigation and conflicts goes on. So that's why this conclusive land titling system is proposed here. This is to promote the active land market also. What happens is at present, suppose any land is disputed, no investor wants to invest it. Okay, so you can see here why is conclusive land titling is needed at present. So it will reduce drastically the litigation related to land. At the same time, it will increase the investment in that particular land, because the investor at present is very much worried in taking risk in any land which is claimed by more than one party. Okay, so conflicting claims over the land deter all these investors to invest or buy that particular land for any industrial activity, right? So this will automatically increase the land market, improve the land market, reduce the hurdles for infrastructure development and the housing projects. Yes, surely many such infrastructure projects and housing projects are marred at present, stalled because of the lack of conclusive land titlings. Okay, at the same time in cities a majority of the land revenue revenue of those urban local bodies comes from the property tax, and when the land titles are not correctly there in the records, what happens is it makes the revenues, it reduces the revenues of the government or those local bodies. At the same time, ambiguity in ownership also results into the black marketing, and black marketing reduces the transparency in the land records and thereby reduces the revenue generation by the government. Okay, so these land transactions are one of the important revenue generation source for the government, the tax which is there on any land transaction. Okay, then in rural areas a very important aspect is that access to any agriculture credit depends on the land titles, because these land and their ownership documents are kept as the let's say collateral with the banks. This is kept as a collateral with the banks to gain the get the agricultural loans, right? So for that purpose the right titling system and these records are very much important. Okay, so that's why the conclusive titling system is needed at present. Now, what does the model bill propose? The Niti Aayog bill. Okay, so it calls for land authorities to be set up by the state government. Which are these authorities? First, it will appoint the title registration officer. The title registration officer will prepare the list here. It will publish the list, draft list of land titles based on existing records. Now, those persons who have any conflicting claim over that particular title, they need to provide, we can say that they need to register here. So, if disputing claims are received, the TRO, title registration officer, will verify all the relevant documents and refer the case to land dispute resolution officer. See, names: title registration officer, land dispute resolution officer. So, these names are important here, you need to remember them. Title registration officer and then the land dispute resolution officer. Okay, now after let's say understanding and going into the claims here, resolving all the dispute claims, the land authority, again this land authority of the government will publish the record of titles. And now this record of titles, when continues for over the 3 years without any further conflicting claim, then it will be considered as the final title of that land. Then it will be considered as final. And if suppose even within those 3 years there is conflicting claim, or the person or party to this let's say dispute is not satisfied, it can further appeal only to the High Court, and or we can say only taken up in the High Courts. Okay, this is the proposed law talks about conclusive land system. Okay, we need to know the administrative part here, how it goes on in sequential manner. Okay, so land registration officer prepare and publish draft titles list. Then there will be land dispute resolution officer for resolution of any dispute there. And finally, the record of titles will be published, and lastly we can say that the land titling appellate tribunals will be there. Sorry, it can be let's say challenged before land titling appellate tribunals, sorry, and then it will be set up under the law. And if over the period of 3 years the entries of record of titles will be considered conclusive proof of ownership. Okay, within 3 years that can be appealed before land titling appellate tribunals, and then even after 3 years it can be taken up only in High Court as further appeal. Now, what are the challenges involved here? Challenges is that the foremost challenge is that all these records are to be published as a draft list, they are not updated. Okay, so land surveying is not properly done by local authorities, and at the same time it is also problematic for them because they lack resources and manpower for such kind of any land survey to be done. So all these things are very much involved, and ultimately we can say that if surveys are not conducted, onus falls on village claimants, many of whom have no access to documentation. Okay, so many such, let's say, genuine cases may not be, let's say, getting justice here, and their land titles will be under threat. Okay, so yes, such kind of question. Explain the conclusive land titling system, discuss the benefits and challenges involved in its implementation. Okay, so yes, surely we can expect such kind of question in our examination. Now, next, the article on page number 5, northeast page, highways keep snuffing out wild animals of Aravalis. Now, which are these 3 highways? It is talking about Delhi Jaipur highway NH 48, Gurugram Alwar highway NH 248A, Gurugram Faridabad highway. Okay, these highways cut the important, let's say, Aravalis, and these highway cut through Aravalis, and the fragmentation of wildlife habitat in that region happens. You need to know that these 3 highways bisect the corridor used by wildlife to transverse from Asola Wildlife Sanctuary in Delhi to Sariska in Rajasthan through Gurugram. This is the, let's say, wildlife corridor, and these highways are cutting through this corridor. This is becoming the problem. Let us have a look at all these protected areas. You can see the map here. Asola Bhatti Wildlife Sanctuary. It is partly located in Delhi and partly located in Haryana. You can see here Asola Wildlife Sanctuary. Right, so this basics about Asola Wildlife Sanctuary, Delhi-Haryana border. It lies in southern Delhi as well as northern parts of Faridabad and Gurugram districts of Haryana. Okay, so biodiversity significance of this ridge lies in merger of Indo-Gangetic plains with Aravallis. Okay, so this is the significance here, and it is part of Aravallis Leopard Wildlife, Northern Aravallis Leopard Wildlife Corridor. This is very important. Okay, at the same time Sariska Tiger Reserve is also part of this one. And the historical places around this are Suraj Kund and Anangpur Dam, Tughlakabad and Fort and Adilabad. So you can see here the Suraj Kund is there, Batkal Lake is nearby. Okay, so some of the historical places are located in this. Then we have the Tiger Reserve, Sariska Tiger Reserve. So first let us see the location here. So this is the Rajasthan, you can see here, and the tiger reserves of Rajasthan. So in this map, all the 50 tiger reserves of India are located, shown. You can have the mapping part for that, but today we will talk about the Rajasthan here. This 35 rank, you can see here, Sariska Tiger Reserve. Okay, so this is the location here near Haryana and Delhi border. So this is very important area for, or we can say part of this northern Aravallis leopard corridor. Now the remaining which are these other two, we can say tiger reserve here, the Ranthambore Tiger Reserve here, location 45, you can see Ranthambore Tiger Reserve, and then we have 21, what is the name here, Mukundara Hills Tiger Reserve, Mukundara Hills Tiger Reserve, location, this one. Okay, so now you have understood the location of these three tiger reserves in Rajasthan. What is importance for us at present is 35, that is Sariska Tiger Reserve. So let us take basic information about Sariska Tiger Reserve here. Now this is located in Alwar district of Rajasthan. So what is the most important point is this is the first reserve in the world with successfully relocated tigers. Okay, so some of the tigers from Ranthambore have been relocated in this Sariska Tiger Reserve. It is sometimes in news for that purpose. At the same time, let's say illegal mining, especially marble mining, that has been banned by Supreme Court in 1991, but still it continues in illegal way. It was declared as wildlife sanctuary in 1955, but given tiger reserve status in 1978 and later national park as in the 1990. So it is wildlife sanctuary as well as national park as well as tiger reserve. We can say at present it is national park and as well as tiger reserve. Okay, so this is the basic information you need to know about Sariska Tiger Reserve. Now moving on to the wettest place on the earth sees decreasing trend in rainfall. So remaining tiger reserve, from time to time whenever it is in news, we will try to cover different states also in coming lectures. Wettest place on the earth, which is the place it is talking about, the Mausin Ram, which receives over 10,000 millimeters of rain a year. So world's wettest place, it is located in Meghalaya. So one of the studies says that there is decreasing trend in rainfall in that region, and it is saying that it is the climate change sensitive region, Northeast India. So one of the reason which is shown is the declining forest cover. One is that shifting away from the slash and burn agriculture or jhum cultivation followed in that region. Now extensive areas are brought into the normal agricultural practices. Decrease in vegetation, increase in areas of cropland, mainly from 2006 and onwards. So here the article mentions that it includes 18 biodiversity hotspots of the world. Okay, so basically it is a very important region, Northeast India, highest vegetation cover in India, at the same time includes 18 biodiversity hotspot of the world, and indicating importance of the region in terms of forest cover as well as climate change sensitivity. So let us have a look at this concept now, biodiversity hotspot. So basically these are the regions wherein many such species are endemic to that region, and that particular region is very much being threatened. These species are threatened here because of wildlife, we can say the destruction of area. So this concept has been given by Norman Myers, British ecologist, in 1988 to designate the priority areas for protection of this species and let's say overall biodiversity of that region. And he gave two criteria to declare any area as considered as biodiversity hotspot. What are these criteria? One is that area should support more than 150 endemic species, and second, it must have lost over 70% of the original habitat. Okay, so this is very important. You need to know the criteria here. Okay, more than 1500 endemic species, and the area should have lost more than 70% of original habitat. Okay, now out of total 35 biodiversity hotspot, 4 are located in India. Which are these 4 areas? First is Western Ghat, second is Northeast India or in part of Indo-Burma, Western Himalayas, and this is part of Sunda land. Andaman and Nicobar, Sunda land. Okay, so it is part of such contiguous zone of Java, Sumatra and Philippine Islands. So Andaman and Nicobar. So these are the 4 biodiversity hotspots of India. So there can be question in prelims examination, which among the following are included in the biodiversity hotspots of the world. Then lastly, we can say that this is the specifically it is talking about the book review, but that book is written on the Chipko Moment. So evolution of that Chipko Moment and the significance totally it is talking about. So let us try to understand here what is this Chipko Moment. So this started in 1973 in Uttarakhand region, and the major reason we have to understand the background. The article is talking about how it evolved, the Chipko Moment. So basically this Chipko Moment evolved as against to the kind of practices that were exploited to the environment in that region, and the local people of that region, the hilly people of that region, they were very much dependent on the forest area and the tree cover in that region for their livelihood, and they knew the importance of this tree. Okay, so they had some kind of emotional bond with those trees and that region. So that's why they were very much let's say concerned about loss of this tree cover forest in that region because of the industrial activities, illegal felling of trees even after independence. So before independence, that was done by Britishers, and Britishers and these colonists consider these hilly people as beggar. They expected them to have the, let's say, forced labor from these local people. However, after independence, there was consciousness regarding the protection of environment in that region. Many such leaders like Gaura Devi and then Chandi Prasad Bhatt, these are prominent names of leaders of that movement. The important aspect again was that the kind of, let's say, methods used here were Gandhian methods of satyagraha and non-violence. You can see the photo here, how these people were standing by hugging the trees, and they were not allowing the contractors or industrialists to cut these trees. So this movement slowly spread throughout India and even became the inspiration for many such environmental protests, or let's say all those movements around the world also. Okay, so this is the significance of this Chipko movement. A similar kind of movement happened even in 1730 AD in Rajasthan to save the khejri trees by Bishnoi tribe. So Bishnoi tribe worship this khejri tree. Khejri tree has very important, let's say, benefits, economic as well as ecological benefits in that region. The Bishnoi community, which is living in that region from many centuries, they have been protecting these trees in Rajasthan, and there was such kind of, let's say, movement in that Rajasthan to protect khejri trees also. The similar kind of movement, Chipko movement. There is also one kind of movement in southern India on the lines of Chipko movement, that is named as Apiko movement. Apiko movement, similar environment protection, and that was inspired through this Chipko movement, like the people hugging the trees and protecting the environment. Okay, so in this manner you need to remember this. You can mention the let's say these movements as it has the recent significance, because Uttarakhand, the hydroelectric projects, large dams being built, and the kind of flooding that is happening because of them in that region, ecological destruction. So Chipko movement, the origin is in that state only, right? So that's why you can give the reference in essay paper also if the topic relates to environment protection. Okay, so this was the basic information that from today's newspaper. अगर आपको ये वीडियो पसंद आता है तो इसको लाइक कीजिए, कमेंट कीजिए और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए हमारे चैनल को, और इस वीडियो की लिंक आपके फ्रेंड्स के साथ शेयर कीजिए. नॉलेज इज़ ग्रोन with sharing of the knowledge. Okay, so you can share this with your friends. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari Sir and team, and a perspective building is done on those issues. For further information regarding that batch, you can contact LUKMAAN IAS. Thank you.